I own one.
Why this meeting will be called to order. Ladies and gentlemen. Whoa! This meeting, whoa! I know the gentlemen's voices are changing and they're becoming young men, but my voice is still different than everyone else's. Urbanization, that's where we'll start. I know you already have this, but as always, we overlap. You guys see it? Everybody got eagle eyes?
So I thought we finished.
We are just about done with notes. And then we will go to the crossword puzzle. All right, remember this time called the Gilded Age, Isaac. Many facets of the Gilded Age. Why is it called the Gilded Age? We learned at the beginning that gilded means kind of like gold-plated. We are in a time, this urbanization that ties in with industrialization, that ties in with this idea of America becoming very prosperous because of the industrialization, meaning that a lot of people are becoming rich, but then it's gilded. Why? Because is everyone benefiting from this time? Politically, is there a lot of corruption? Yes. Do you understand why it's called the Gilded Age? In other words, if Elise had a question on the test, and it was an essay test, why is the last quarter of the 19th century called the Gilded Age? First of all, she would look at that and go, wow, that's a really complicated question. Maybe she would look at it that way, but I hope it's not. Why is the last quarter of the 19th century called the Gilded Age? Would Trey be able to answer that coherently? Maybe. It's not. So, but if it was,
I think it should.
Derek would be able to answer it coherently.
What about a
right?
bonus question?
What's happening? America is becoming more urbanized. In fact, at a very rapid pace. Cities are growing at twice the rate of rural towns. By the way, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. The South is not staying just totally agrarian. Remember, we said this was the first time in all of America where over 50% of the people were working in jobs that weren't agrarian. And remember, we also said that there were like 400 textile mills, that industries that were started in the South at this time as well. Still, the South's dominated by farming. Can we get to this point? Okay. It's also a time, unfortunately, where Darwinian evolution takes hold at the end of the 1800s. And we talked about perhaps these two and other quote-unquote robber barons were kind of like, yeah, hey, Darwin had it right. Survival of the fittest. Competition, that's the way it goes. I am at the top of the chain, and I'm going to continue to do what I do, and without regard, Derek, perhaps without regard to how I'm affecting other people. See, Darwinian evolution, by the way, which you think is just a science thing, isn't just a science thing. This idea of Darwinian evolution infiltrates all aspects of education, infiltrates society. There's something called social Darwinism, and that's what that is. So it's not just something that we debate because we believe in creation, they believe in evolution. It's something that really pervades our entire society if you buy into it. All right. You have liberal theologians, by the way, buying into it with theistic evolution. This idea, we're going to talk more about that in the coming weeks. The progressive era comes out of the Gilded Age. Thankfully, some of you did know people like Mark Twain and Stephen Crane and Jack London. I didn't fix that yet. Horatio, get rid of that N. Alger. Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn. Anybody check that out at the library since Friday? Like, okay. Mr. Franken actually read a book. I'll read that one. Consumerism and materialism. This life that we live, that we are dominated by consumerism and materialism, began in the Gilded Age. The Gilded Age, with industrialization, made life easier. Gave people, while some people were working longer hours for low pay, It also gave people more recreation time, which leads to organized national sports. Which became America's pastime, baseball, which was America's pastime for a long time. Football, television kind of made football the new American pastime. Television and the idea that society is so instant gratification, right? Baseball, a much more methodical game, played at a slower pace. Some would call it pastoral. Then you got football, seemingly constant action. Although, if you break down a football game, you could watch just the plays in probably half an hour, because there's a lot of downtime, puddles and stuff. Yeah,
Two things. Why do we never play the egg game anymore?
I don't know, too chaotic,
But it's the best.
and it would cause feelings of hatred and anger to come out. People
No,
would start calling each other names.
I never did that. And also, use the
Yeah.
restroom.
Sure. 1,000,000 bicycles traveling around America in 1893. Did we watch A Bicycle Built for Two? Do you know that song?
No.
You don't really want to see the video, do you?
No, but I like
I do.
the song. The little kids
Show
used
it.
to sing
I've
it.
never seen it. So I need to.
Commercialized Christmas. Now imagine what they thought commercialized Christmas was compared to what we think commercialized Christmas was. But the idea that Christmas is going to become Sears Roebuck. Anybody ever even hear of Sears? Sears is a store that's kind of gone out of business here in the last 10 years or so. But there used to be stores called J.C. Penney's and Sears. And they still have them? I don't know. I thought they were defunct by now. But
Sears is gone.
Sears is gone, at least from this area.
So right
Penney's is still
now.
there.
What the heck did you?
But getting catalogs. In the old days, you didn't do everything online. You would get these really thick catalogs that would come in the mail. They have all the things that you might want for Christmas. And that was part of your letting your parents, Santa Claus know what you wanted for Christmas was going through the catalog. Sears, Penney's, where else? Okay. What to do if you're a Christian living in the Gilded Age? You see all this change going on in society. A lot of it good, right? Hey, nothing wrong with having recreation time. But then you see some people becoming ultra rich and some people destitute. Vocab alert, what's destitute mean? Some people are becoming very rich, but you see a lot of people living in destitute. Anybody want to take a shot at what that means? To be living in destitute or destitution. If someone says that they're destitute, is that a thumbs up word or a thumbs down word? Thumbs down word, right? What does it mean? Give me a synonym. Yeah. Okay, impoverished, right? Or is that a new vocab word? Poverty, impoverished, destitute. You're desperate. You have very little. While America was industrialized and become very prosperous, at the other end, we talked a little bit about the labor unions and why they formed, because of the very low pay, the long working hours, and the horrible working conditions. There were people that were barely getting by. There were people that weren't getting by. This is where the idea of homelessness comes in. People living that way. So, how do Christians respond? Like they should, with things like rescue missions. I may have been to the Youngstown rescue mission. I may have volunteers out there. Probably some people there. urban evangelism. So you got rescue missions popping up in cities. You've got evangelists saying, whoa, the harvest is great. Good and bad. It's good that the harvest is there for Christians to witness and bring people to the knowledge that there is a God and there is a Savior in Christ, and He is this free gift of salvation. And unfortunately, when I said fortunate, unfortunately, and we see this always in history, if things are going well, there's a lot of people don't see a need for God. But when they're down and out, when they're destitute, then they cry out to God. You notice that pattern? Or can you understand that kind of pattern? That when we get very comfortable, life's getting more comfortable, right? You got refrigerated cars bringing all kinds of food to your homes. You've got clothing, again, that you buy in standardized sizes and style and fashion. You've got not just everybody riding around bicycles, but the advent of, there's this new thing called an automobile in the making. Things are getting easier. Machines are starting, the sewing machine, you got all this stuff making life easier. People start to feel the need for God. Now, fast forward to 21st century America. You're all growing up in Christian homes, I think, I hope, I pray, that you're not relying on that, but you're coming into young adulthood and taking ownership of your relationship with Christ. Well, if you've got everything given to you and everything's so good, like there's really no need to cry out to God, how easy would it be to just forget or not acknowledge God, right? That's happening here. So they got the combination of destitution, which caused people to cry out, and you got the other side of the coin, people that are doing so well, oh, what do I need God for? So evangelism takes off with these many revivals in churches and auditoriums, and there's this guy, some of you have heard of, D.L. Moody, and maybe you've heard of the Moody Bible Institute in Chicago. Daniel Brandenstein, former HCS student, him spoke with us last year, right? He went to Moody. Others from here have gone to Moody. Well, in 1859, truth be told, D.L. Moody set his sights on Chicago, not to be a minister, not to be an evangelist, but to get rich. Chicago, known as the Windy City, and also the second city, first city being New York. Moody hears of all this opportunity in Chicago. Let's move west. Hey, as we move west, more opportunities open up, and Chicago has become the place. If you're going west in America and you really want to get involved in the scene in industrialization, you're going to go to Chicago. And that's what Moody sets his sights on. He wants to become rich. He wants to take advantage of all of this opportunity for wealth and prosperity. But God had other plans. Strangely, we still know who D.L. Moody is, and we have the Moody Bible Institute, because Moody wanted to do this. God had other plans, and in the end, he kind of became famous, probably pretty well to do anyway, huh? But God has him get involved in the ministry, missions. Though he was not a minister. He was not an ordained minister and began a church in Chicago. And because he was such a great communicator, that church grew, branched off into another church, and the rest is history. And in the early 1870s, he was invited to go to Great Britain to go on an evangelistic tour. And then he became not just locally well-known and successful in Chicago and then in America, Now he becomes like a worldwide famous evangelist because of his tour in Great Britain. So he came to Chicago to get rich. God said, no, he goes into the ministry. And then God uses him to be a very successful minister. Anybody looked at Moody for possible college? Nobody in here? Yeah? Anybody have
I'm gonna go tech school.
relatives that went to Moody?
Tech school.
Anybody have any connection to Moody Bible Institute? Yeah? Your sister did?
Both.
Oh, there you go. Hannah didn't go, Daniel did. They went, were they there when Daniel was there?
Allison's first year was Daniel's last year.
Moody tried to attract a crowd, right? Again, this is a good, bad thing. Like, what could be bad about it? What could be bad about using music to attract a crowd and putting the gospel in a song? Could there be anything negative about that? Jake, is there anything negative about that? Is there anything negative about going to a worship service and being entertained with great music? Could you see someone saying, well, I could be going down the wrong road? No? Anybody? Anybody with commentary on that? Yeah?
Yeah, it could be a bad thing.
Why?
This would be more focusing on the entertainment than God.
More focused on the entertainment than on the worship of God himself, right? Quick question, this isn't Bible class, so we're not gonna get too deep, but just to throw it out there, do you go to church to worship God because you want to glorify him, it's all about him? Or do you go to church to make yourself feel good? And how much importance do people put on the worship music? You'd be surprised what some people put a lot of importance on. Like, you ask, I think if some people are honest, like, if they took the worship service part, we call it the worship service, the whole thing's worship service, but you know what I'm talking about, the music. If they took that out of your church, would you still do that church? Is the ministry of the church sufficient, or, you know, churches have split because of their arguments and debate about the music. My church, we have guitars and drums now. It wasn't that long ago, all we had was the piano or organ. All right. And then Sam Jones. You don't know him as well as you do D.L. Moody, but if you were in the South, you probably know Sam Jones a little better than we do. And we're not going to get into him. Just suffice to say, he was the Moody of the South. Sam Jones, great evangelist in the growing South during the Gilded Age. And the age was gilded, so the harvest was plenty for Christians to get involved. Is our age gilded? No. There's not a lot of superficial prosperity in the times that we're living in. Is there a huge harvest out there, David? Is there a huge harvest out? That's a big word, superficial. Is that a big vocab word, Riley? Superficial? Anybody? What's superficial mean, Isaac?
It means like fake. Ish.
Yeah, like
I don't know.
this prosperity, this life we're living. Is it all good? We got it pretty comfortable, don't we? Don't we?
Wait.
Don't we have life pretty comfortable here in
Yeah,
America?
yeah, it's comfy.
Could you relate this to being a gilded age?
What?
Is this kind of a gilded age we're still living in? Not the gilded age, but is it a sort of gilded age? No?
Not really financially, because there are very few people who struggle as much as the poor people did then.
True.
But
Are
I mean,
there?
spiritually,
Have
sure.
you seen pictures of cities? Have you seen pictures of certain cities in America with the incredible amount of homelessness? People
Yeah.
literally living and sleeping on the streets. And when I say living and sleeping, I mean like all parts of living, like the streets, the restroom as well. That's happening in that. I mean, it's Nancy Pelosi's district. Did I just say that? Am I allowed to say that?
Not really. No.
Am I allowed to speak truth?
No.
All right, crossword puzzle. World famous Rankin crossword.
Is there a test tomorrow? You want to back me?
Test is Wednesday.
Wednesday, tomorrow.
You want a 90?
That's not tomorrow.
You're not tomorrow, man. You're not tomorrow.
You're not tomorrow.
Hey, look at that. I want to explain this.
Jonathan, if you get an extra one, you get the Drew.
Why didn't you pick me? We were done at like 3.
Drew, if you get an extra one, can you give it to Noel?
Well, then we want to, you should have just picked me.
Well, Noel, if you have extra, can you pass them over to Casey?
And I was thinking that you would be like sleeping or something. We still haven't been able to do anything now, because we wouldn't have been able to play that.
Reminder, ladies and gentlemen, these are crossword puzzles to be done independently. That's the point. The point is for you to find the answers, not for someone to give you the answers. That makes no sense in preparation for a test. You're not preparing for a test hoping to guess right. Shouldn't we have extras flowing this way?
Are you?
There's no way we should be short. Drew, you don't have any extras there?
Oh, do you even get my row? Forgot I wrote.
Is anyone not started yet? Scott, come here. Scott, you mean you don't have one?
I don't have.
Okay, who has one hasn't started yet? Bella? I don't understand. I made 26 comments. You should go down and make, Bella, before you. I need. Make 4.
David, I'm putting tax on your glasses.
Yeah.
Bring them over.
You literally cheated. Everybody saw. I don't know if you put on what
Riley, Annie, this is independent.
She had her foot boots on my desk. And I wanted them off.
Can you guys be quiet? Really low.
I wanted them off, I'm sorry.
Eric, why don't you keep it down?
Respect.
He says he doesn't like the coffee.
I told him that. He stressed me out.
Conglomeration. This is going.
All right. Since twice telling you this is independent work and work, then the subtle, like, I won't get mad at you, I'll just, hey, here's the detention slip, get that signed. And this would be like, do you realize how bad you have to mess up to get detention for Mr. Franklin?
Good luck. 2 M's.
JKD. Some of the clues are layups, some are intentionally to make you think. If you do have a question about, like, you don't even understand what the clue's saying, of course, You can ask,
You want to ask about spelling?
you can ask me about spelling?
Well,
Where you at? You need two M's.
That's what I thought.
how many words wrong in
English.
my chances of getting it right after being wrong. So,
You don't have one yet either? No. How? You don't have one yet either?
Bro, you literally just.
how did you do it?
Wait, how did David get one?
Here on my desk.
Strange.
Or I think you should shove over.
Yes, maybe I didn't realize it when I went down.
Don't do that.
Copy around.
Derek, you go.
Jake, there's just one problem.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Yes, because I had no idea. I thought they were too short.
There was such a long line.
Well, they're gonna have a J on their paper.
That's my bad.
No, I
You
didn't.
sure it's
I thought I was like too short. I made 26.
I wanna make like 20.
No.
Just two? Well, I'm gonna come back and you're gonna say you needed 4.
Okay, great.
Such a moron, friend. Don't feel like it's you. How do you spell? Awesome. I had the right idea and just.
Got a K.
Okay.
Those are the only two you got so far without notes? Anybody still rolling without looking for notes yet? Wouldn't that be great, Riley?
Fantastic.
Students got it and they're like, hey, I know this one, I know. They didn't even have to use their notes.
I wish I
Wait,
could do
that's
that.
weird. What? Oh.
I got one of them without looking at the notes.
Yeah.
Well, I
Is
looked
that
at
the
theirs,
idea to
but
try and do it
I
without
knew
the
it.
first?
Is there what?
Is that the idea to try and do it?
Well, no, you don't have to do that, but it would be kind of cool to challenge yourself.
I can't spell like
See how many-
that.
Which one?
What is Morgan's business?
Isaac,
Huh? No, it's still spelling. I can't spell for my life.
Wow.
They're all spelled wrong.
so you look up there and you spell wrong on purpose.
No, I'm not on purpose, but I just
He does
like,
it from memory.
I read
Mhm.
and then I write what I have in my mind and I spell it. And now I need
Sounds a little suspicious.
If I ask you one of the
Yeah,
right,
I
you
know.
tell me.
My part is so super soft.
So my song? Me?
Yeah.
Chris, no, they're not rainbow. It's flowers. Floral.
You thought it.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know how to do it. And then someone says, well, I'm
I
still
like having
figuring
to
it
explain
myself.
that song.
Like,
It's pretty neat.
and I was like, okay.
It's not,
What are the socks?
it's just happy rainforest flowers.
Yes.
If I ask you if
What do you
one
pop,
of them is
Marty?
right, will you tell me? Yeah.
You have a riddle for him?
Who did that?
And we're out of lead. I can help you.
Only
No, I don't want
Mr.
your
Martin.
lead. That's
Oh,
fine.
that's okay.
He doesn't always answer the riddle.
Hopefully I just don't get pranked again. That's true, but watch out. Ian's
Frank
around.
asked me.
Where the heck, girl?
Can't deal with him.
But if
He
you
really,
ask
it's,
him-
there's a point where it's like, yeah, like, it was funny at first, and then like, yeah, it just gets there and you're just like.
I'm part of independent. Don't you understand?
It's not me, I promise you. Actually, what? Please stop reading the words.
I didn't say a single word, you shut up and go. What?
She said.
That's not independent.
Why didn't
Derek, you don't look very independent.
Oh.
I'm gonna put new notes on my desk.
read the
Hey Derek, what country do you live in?
Your mom.
What the heck? Our founding fathers fought for your independence.
Yes.
I'll leave this one right.
Yes.
Thank you. I looked at the notes, don't get too proud of me.
Is tariff with 1 or 2 R's?
I know. You know what word got me every time I was on sheriff?
Or what? Is it 2 or 1? It's 2.
Sheriff is sheriff. I can't spell.
Sheriff is.
2 R's in it.
2 hours and.
There's 3 1 F.
Whoa, tariff does not have 2 R's. Yes, Amy?
So it's 2 F. So what's 2 F?
Where's 17?
I'll be right there.
Oh, I
I'll
don't.
be right.
Don't worry about it. I'm